Hello YouTube, Redneck Professor here, and it's recently been brought to my attention that amongst our noble number there are quite a few what you might call fine coffee connoisseurs, and so I thought I might share a little bit about how I partake of bean juice, as it were. And I got a few accoutrements laid out here for us to go over. I'll go over them as I come to them, because there's several different ways I enjoy my coffee. So I got a couple of different things laid out for us to experiment with, as it were. And don't be afraid to experiment when it comes to coffee. You take it from the scientist. There's nothing wrong with it. I do want to mention that the radio is playing. As you can see, the radio is playing, and so I don't hold the rights or entitlements or anything else like that to any of the songs you might inadvertently hear. It's all purely, you know, coincidental. So I don't want any copyright infringements attached to this video. Anyway, let's jump right into it. In my opinion, the first thing you need for a good cup of coffee is a good coffee cup. Now this right here is a good coffee cup. It's a good coffee cup because it's got a handle, which makes it convenient to hold. It's got a lid, which means you can turn it over and you're not going to lose your entire cup of coffee. But the most important thing about it, it's a good coffee cup because it's big. Look at the size of that thing. That is a good coffee cup, okay? Now, just by way of making a distinction, this is not a coffee cup. This is something that women use to measure liquor, okay? I don't care how fine quality that you think the coffee is. If they served it to you in this cup, you wasted your money, all right? You wasted your money. So let's make a distinction. Not a coffee cup. Coffee cup. Okay? That's the first thing to go over. The second thing you need in order to have a good cup of coffee is a good coffee blend. Now this here is Cafe Bustelo. It's imported from over somewhere, and it is about the most versatile blend of coffee I've ever come across. Okay? Now there's a couple of ways you can make it. The first way is like this. Now some of you might refer to this as cowboy coffee. Your granddaddy might have referred to it as depression coffee. This is I call it Turkish coffee. And the reason being that this is kind of the way the Turks make their coffee. Now I think there might have been some confusion concerning this style of coffee pot here. I told Brother Boontard that this was called a deux flochet in French, and that American people pronounced it douflochet. And it didn't occur to me that he'd never heard the term douflochet before, which is, you know, akin to thingamajig or doohickey. The actual word for that I can't pronounce because my command of Turkish isn't that great, but if you go on Google and just do a Google search of Turkish coffee pots, that'll come up and you can decide for yourself how it ought to be pronounced. Okay? So we got a good coffee blend. We also have a good blender. Okay? You need a good blender for good coffee. Okay? And this particular one here, you can see it comes with two blades. One's a sort of slicing blade like this. Okay? And the other one is a really fucking shit up blade. Okay? And I prefer the really fucking shit up blade because what I'm going to do with my grinder here is I'm going to take an egg, a little bit of milk, salt and pepper, and I'm going to blend it up. And this way, I can have some scrambled eggs with my cup of coffee. So I'm going to go over here to the stove. There we go. Going to have some scrambled eggs with my cup of coffee. That's what the grinder's for. Alright? If you got a good coffee blend, you don't have to do all that extra work of grinding it all up. I want you to notice something about this here Cafe Bustelo. See how finely that's already been ground up? See? That's just fine powder. And that brings me to the next way of using this particular blend of coffee. So we're going to talk about this little accoutrement here. This little spoon. Alright? If I'm in a hurry in the morning, if I'm in a hurry to get to work or to get my pipe lit, or for whatever reason I got things going on that I don't have a whole lot of time, what I can do is take this little spoon right here, okay, take the little spoon, just give me a little touch of that old Cafe Bustelo there. Yep, I just snorted it. Damn straight. Okay? Now, let's talk about this little thing here. A lot of you think this here is a scale. Okay? Let's get that unfucked right now. This is not a scale. This is an analytical balance. See? That's the difference. So what I want to do here is I want to turn it on. Okay. And turn it over to grams. Okay. Because I followed a metric system. Put my little weigh boat on it. Okay. Got my little weigh boat. And then I'm going to tare it so that it scales out at 0. Okay? So I've got my coffee filter here. Okay? And what I want to do is take my spoon and just eyeball that shit, because it really don't make much of a difference, honestly. Another spoon and a third spoon. Okay? Then I take my coffee filter, stick it in my coffee pot, close it up, turn it on, and about 5 minutes from now I'll have enough coffee to fill up my coffee cup. Let's go back to the Turkish coffee. I got a nice rolling boil going here. Okay? So I've turned the temperature down to low, and I just want to let that roll for about 5 minutes or so. Okay? And the traditional Turkish way of drinking it is to add a little sugar to it. Okay? Which I prefer that when I make it this way. So I've got about 15 mils of sugar. I'm just going to go ahead and pour that in. Okay? And got me a spoon here. I'm going to stir it. And I've lost my boil. So I'm going to turn my heat up just a little bit and get it going back into a boil. And what you'll see eventually is we'll have a nice creamy golden brown head come up on this thing. And that's what you want whenever it comes up. That's when you want to serve it. Okay? So, that's kind of the way I drink my coffee, or partake of my coffee anyway. I've got now 2 pots going at the same time, so I probably ought to go ahead and finish this video before I get really crazy. So, that's how I like my coffee, and if you don't like the way I make my coffee, well then don't ask me for a cup. Because if you do, I'm going to say to hell with you.